afternoon, good evening, good morning, whenever you happen to be joining us. My name is Marty O'Shea, proud to be your superintendent of schools. Today, another segment on our middle school project. Our intention is to provide some information to residents so that they can make informed decisions when this project comes up for consideration at town meeting on September 9th and via a townwide vote on September 30th. So the intention here is to raise and respond to many of the important and frankly hard questions that we've heard in recent months and even over the past couple of years about our middle school project. We have a segment on the financial aspects of the project. We'll do a segment on the educational aspects of the project. And then today our intention is to provide some information on the site selection and address some of the traffic concerns that we have heard over the last several months. So joining me today is Adam D'Alessio. Adam is part of our project management team at Colliers International, happens to be a resident of Longmeadow, and so is certainly tuned into many of the concerns that have been raised around the site selection and traffic. And so let's start with just talking about Williams as the preferred site. In the other segment, we address some of the costs associated with the Glenbrook site versus the Williams site, the costs of an addition renovation at Glenbrook versus an addition renovation at Williams, the costs of building new versus the cost of base code repair. So if you're interested in the costs associated with the various sites, you can check out that segment and certainly some information that is up on our website. But Williams as the preferred site, I want to just touch on that a little bit. One of the key reasons is that Williams sits at the geographic center of town. Right. But additionally, there were some additional reasons why Glenbrook was ruled out as the site for a combined middle school. But from a construction engineering point of view, can you address that for us?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, the Glenbrook site it's a tough site to work on. The elevation change on that site is pretty drastic, as anybody who's been to the site. You have the fields on the lower level, and then you have the large slope there, and then where you have the school, we're set in that flat piece of land. That, in addition to the school being located in a very tight neighborhood, made it seem that it wasn't the right place to do a consolidation project for the school.
And with Williams sitting in the geographic center of town and being served by main corridors, we felt like it was the best option to get the most number of students to school safely and quickly.
Correct.
And so, and certainly there were other fiscal considerations with choosing Williams as a preferred site that again are available in another segment and information that is on our website. And so let's talk a little bit about the campus, the existing conditions of the Williams site. All of our schools in Longmeadow sit in highly developed neighborhoods, and so we have to be mindful of traffic concerns at all of our schools. This is an existing problem. It's one of the problems that comes with the benefit of having schools that can be bike to and walk to.
Correct.
And so we're a small town, thickly developed neighborhoods with 6 schools sitting in neighborhoods, and so we have a lot of experience with kind of pick up and drop off and creating safe and efficient car lines.
Right.
But the existing conditions on the Williams site, one of the opportunities that I see is that we actually can create a campus that is more reflective of pedestrian patterns and traffic patterns in 2025. Williams campus was opened in 1959.
Right.
And so the existing campus, the existing parking lot, the existing roadways, can we talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. So what we, as we started, coming onto the project and we brought on JWA as the design team, they have their consultants that come in. So they have traffic engineers and, they're, on their site and civil side, they have their professionals on their team as well. So looking at the existing site, it's just not meant for the amount of car traffic that it gets today. Like you mentioned, back when the school was built, mostly all the kids either walked or biked, and you'd have a few cars that come and drop off. Today, it seems like more kids are getting dropped off, and hopefully we can reverse that a little bit and get more kids to walk and bike. But right now, we're seeing a lot of traffic on William Street because of that factor. That there's a lot of cars. It's not set up for having as many cars as it does. There's no true drop off and looping area. You have cars kind of interweaving themselves between the parking lot and the teachers coming in and trying to get across the parking lot and having cars. So it's just not ideal, a situation for.
It's really just one big open space, really. We have there's a roadway that extends. Woolworth extends from Bliss to Williams.
Yep.
Cuts across the campus, and there's no dedicated bus lane. There's no dedicated drop-off lane, really. It's
Correct.
just one big open space.
Right.
And so with this project, we have an opportunity to create a safer, more purposely developed
Correct.
campus design.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
and it's probably worth noting that both the Glenbrook site, we have traffic studies that are posted to our website. There was a preliminary study and then a more detailed study. Both of them are available on our website. Both sites were deemed to be feasible for a combined new middle school. So
Correct.
Ty and Bond, the consultant for JWA, looked at both campuses and deemed them both to be feasible. Ultimately, Williams was chosen because of the fiscal advantages and because of its location in the center of town. We felt it was a more buildable site.
Correct.
And so the more advanced traffic study that was released in May of 2025 helped us understand further how this campus could be designed and what improvements could be made on campus and even off campus to ensure that we are being responsive to the traffic concerns that residents have rightfully raised.
Right, and that's what I was going to say, is not only looking at what's happening on campus, you're looking at the surrounding streets and how does it affect intersections that are down the road,
Right.
and what is the impact for this.
So we talk a little bit about just the off-campus site improvements. I mean, really, this has been one of the biggest focal points of our work with the design team is designing a campus that can receive safely 665 students, and that pickup and drop off can happen safely and quickly and efficiently. But just quickly on some of the off-site improvements that are part of this project.
Yeah, so we've been looking at adding a dedicated turn lane on William Street, which will allow cars that are continuing down past the school to be able to have a lane that they can actually continue. It doesn't build up that traffic. And we're also looking at extending the sidewalks coming up Williams. So that way for bikers and walkers that are coming, right now they have to cross down at Grassy Gutter. And so the other streets, you're kind of almost backtracking to get to those. So now if we extend that sidewalk coming up towards the school, we'd be able to add in additional sidewalks, another crosswalk that allows the kids safely to get to school without having to backtrack.
And all of that design work that will assist in creating a safe campus is not yet done.
Correct.
There's still some work in front of us. We're at the schematic design phase. We need to move into design development ultimately, and then we can continue to refine the campus.
There's a few more phases of design that are ahead of us before we actually commit to a final design.
We have had some really lengthy, collaborative, spirited meetings with town departments.
Yep.
Long Meadow Police, Long Meadow Fire, the DPW. They have joined Colliers, the administration, and our design team to kind of map out how we can do this safely. And even frankly, once the building is opened, there are administrative practices, there are managerial practices that we will continue to refine and improve as the days, weeks, and months go on.
Correct.
And I think a lot of our administrators have experience with that kind of changing practices for pickup and drop off to ensure
Right.
that it can be done efficiently.
Correct.
Yeah.
And even the design of this campus as it is for the new school.
Yeah.
It's designed that it can make those changes, those administrative changes. If they find that something isn't working, it's designed where they can, move things around slightly to make it more effective for the school, for the students, for the staff that are coming in.
A big point of emphasis there in the design was to try to take as much traffic off of Williams and Bliss as possible.
Right.
And so we have extended roadways and ample parking.
Correct.
So,
yeah. So right now, it's designed for 200 parking spots, which is considerably more than we currently have. And then you're able to get over 100 cars on campus queuing in to drop the students off every morning and every afternoon.
Yeah, that's significant. I think this will be the longest pickup and drop-off zone, loading and unloading zone that we have in any school, including the high school.
Yeah.
So there's really, and the high school has, 200 more students or so.
Right.
So, and then even having, and I'm not sure if LCTV can project the campus design, but a dedicated bus lane is important as well, because buses can jam up loading and unloading zones because cars can't pass a bus that's loading or unloading.
Yeah, so having that dedicated area definitely frees up, the rest of the traffic to continue moving through,
and that's
pretty efficiently.
Something that we don't currently have.
Right.
Yeah. Bike racks galore.
Bike racks everywhere. We want to continue having, the kids bike and walk and, come to school,
Yeah. Parking lots, separating staff parking from the pickup and drop-off area.
Yeah, so there'll be a dedicated visitors parking area. There'll be, parking for the staff. And then again, we'll have the athletic fields that, on weekends and evenings, there's parking by the athletic fields as well.
And so that, that has been another point of emphasis, and that's something that we currently don't have. We don't have dedicated parking for staff and teachers that's separate from the pickup. And so that's going to be a welcome improvement.
Yeah, and even as I mentioned, the athletic fields right now, currently you have the cars that park on the grass or on the side all along, coming up Woolworth into the school campus.
Yeah.
And it gets really tight when you're trying to have, an event and practices, and this will certainly open up some space for everybody to park pretty freely.
We're excited about that. The perimeter of the school, if we can talk about that a little bit, one of the things that we heard from LPD, LFD was ensuring that there was access to the whole campus.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the design team has worked very closely with Long Meadow Public Safety to make sure that there is access around the entire school. So right now, you'll see that Williams does have a roadway that goes all the way around, and that's going to continue in the new school to make sure that the new school has, full 360 perimeter around. So if there's any emergencies or just for security, with police, going around in the evenings and just patrolling the area, they have access around the building.
That's excellent.
Yep.
Excellent. And our neighbors on Duxbury and Woodside, we want to be mindful of their concerns. So the buffering, can we?
So the design team has really gone through and made sure that they provided, a good amount of buffering for those side streets. They understand that, again, this school is placed in a residential area, and we want to be considerate of the neighbors on either side of the school. Yeah. So there is an extensive amount of trees that are going up, which is great for the environment, but also provides that buffering to the school. So, the folks looking out their backyard don't have to stare directly at the school, which is, it's great.
And still plenty of decisions in front of us that have not yet been made to kind of mitigate any concerns. That,
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. We're still at the point where we can kind of change things and, increase the design or shift things around if needed.
Can you, the construction manager, when they are brought on board, and we're in the process of working through that right now, but when a construction manager is brought on board, to what extent can that construction manager be responsive to the concerns of the neighborhood or the concerns of LFD or LPD? Mm-hmm. I think that was an important consideration of the building committee, that whatever partners we get, whether it's our designers or our project managers, ultimately our construction manager, that we have partners that are going to be responsive to the neighbors.
Sure, and that's one of the reasons why the school building committee elected to go with a construction manager, because a construction manager is brought on during design, and so they can be part of that logistics phasing, designing, and they can see from a contractor's perspective that this is going to work, this isn't going to work, the safety of the students, we've done this on other projects, and their responsiveness to, neighbors and abutters. We want to make sure that we're selecting the right contractor who's going to have that responsiveness.
Right.
And that's the reason, again, why we went with a construction manager at risk, is because the committee has the opportunity to actually interview contractors and select the one that they want to go with, as opposed to just going with the lowest bidder. So this really gives us that opportunity to make sure that that's high on our priority list, that we're paying attention to the neighbors and the abutters and their responsiveness to those issues that may come up, during design and even during construction, that they're going to be super responsive to.
Yeah. We're excited to introduce potentially a artificial turf field.
Yes.
And so maybe this is an opportunity to explain why the building committee chose to incorporate that into the project.
Yeah, so the existing field at Williams right now is in really rough shape, obviously. It's mostly dirt, it's a lot of ruts in it, it's not great to practice on. I actually coach my son's football team, and so we practice there, starting in August, and we'll go through and through the entire football season playing and practicing there. So it is a rough field to play on. So in incorporating an athletic synthetic turf field will allow multiple teams, multiple sports. You don't really have to rest the field in between seasons now, where you really should, but we don't have the field space in town to rest it for a full season, so it has that growth potential again. So you can use these fields over and over and over again without destroying it.
Yeah, anybody who's any trip down William Street at any time of year almost, you're going to see students or kids playing in that front field. It gets a lot of use, and so this will allow for sort of more seasonal access to that field. And like you say, you're not relying on resting the field.
Correct.
To ensure that you've got a good grass surface for kids.
Yeah, and even going with synthetic, once it's laid down and installed, it's ready for use.
Right.
Where if you're going to do grass or sod, again, you have to wait, a couple growing seasons before you can actually use it, because it's going to get ruined.
You'd probably, our hope is to open the school in 2028.
Yep.
At that point, we would take down the existing building and begin the construction of the fields and
Correct,
the final parking lot construction. And so, had it been, if you chose grass, then you'd be waiting probably another year beyond.
Correct, before you could actually use them.
Yeah. So that's an important consideration.
Yep.
So we hope that today's session was an opportunity for residents to learn more about the Williams Middle School site and some of the strategies that we have put in place to address the concerns relative to traffic and congestion that we've heard over the last couple of years. There's additional information available on our website, and certainly if any residents have any questions, any feedback, there's still plenty of design work still in front of us, still plenty of decisions that need to be made relative to campus design and site work. So appreciate the opportunity to share some information about the Long Meadow Middle School project.